The 1-2 Football Podcast. The voices of tomorrow, here today.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 1-2 Football Podcast. I'm Nathan, and today we are talking all things Euro 2020. As usual, I'm here with Ollie and Kieran. How are you guys?
I'm good. Welcome back, Nathan, firstly.
Glad to be back.
You might be able to hear he's still a bit nasally, but he's better, so it's good to have you back. So it's good. It's, the day after recording this, the day after England topped the group. So, the result was a good result. But, I'm good, and I just find it so bizarre. There's so many games on at the moment. Like, there's just so many, you can't watch them all. It's a bit annoying. I enjoyed watching every single, or not every single one, but the majority of them. But now they're all on at once. But yeah, that's my quick summary of how I'm doing.
Quick?
Right, so.
Wasn't much quick about that. Yeah, no, I'm not too bad. Just, I guess, echo what Ollie says, because you had your days planned out, 2, 5 and 8. Now you've got to really think about when games are and actually which games you want to watch, with the final ones being on at the same time. But no, I'm good. Like you said, the day we're recording this is a big one tonight, where we'll find out who we're playing in the round of 16. Fingers crossed for Hungary, but I think they might even beat us. But I mean, we'll see how it goes, and I'm sure we'll probably get into it in the podcast.
And it's certainly plenty to talk about, so let's get into it.
We might as well start from where we literally just left off with England. And there is a lot of debate. Who do we want in the next round? I know a lot of people, including myself, not to the extent of some people, but they're like, maybe we should have just bottled it so we came second and got an easier draw. But I think it was Gary Lineker said, you have to beat the best to become the best. And if anyone's saying it, you're there to win matches. And if you're not there to win them, you don't have the morale boost into the next game. So fair play. But who do we actually want then? Who do we want, and who do we think we'll get? Because I mean, I'm not sure if I'd want Hungary. I feel like going in as the people that having them as the underdogs. I feel like I'd rather be the underdog going into it, because I feel like Hungary could pull off a surprise, as we've seen in in the 2 games they've played so far.
I don't know. To be honest, it's bad to say, but I don't care. I don't really care, because we are going to play a good team. Portugal, Germany, France are better than us. So we're going to play. So Hungary aren't going to beat Germany. Let's be very realistic here. And plus, the game's in Germany, so they're not going to have 60,000 people behind them. So Germany are going to win that game, I'm pretty certain. And probably, maybe I've been proved, it'd be a horrible take if come back on Friday and we're playing Hungary. But we're going to have to play teams that are better than us to win it anyway. So why not just test us? So this is what I think. Whoever we play on Tuesday, that is the biggest game of Southgate's international and managerial career, more than the World Cup semi-final, because I feel like sentiment towards the team and him has definitely died down since then. So I think whoever we play, it's gonna have to be a statement win like this one, and that's why I don't really care, because I think they're all beatable. I think they've all shown that as well. I don't think.
I disagree that it's the biggest game of his career, though. I think a semi-final in the World Cup, is a bit bigger than the round of 16 in the Euros.
No, I think no, not in terms of occasion, but in terms of the sentiment towards Southgate. In World 2018, we were just happy to be there. We were just happy to be in the semi-final. It didn't really matter. We could have lost in the quarterfinal maybe, and no one would have cared. People are saying Southgate out anytime he puts a team out. So this is an important time for him to get sentiment back on side. People are pretty negative towards the England team, arguably rightly so. We've not been very good. But so this is a big game in terms of his time with England, and in terms of him getting, staying in charge. I'm sure he'll probably end up staying in charge. But in terms of having that support going into the 2022 World Cup, that's kind of what I mean when I say it's the biggest game.
I think I agree with you, Nathan, if I'm honest. If you separate England's biggest game, which I think, in the 21st probably was the World Cup semi-final, in terms of Southgate's tenure, it has to be this game, because you'll all the people who doubted him will reappear when we lose to one of those better teams. We don't really show up, and they play us off the park. So like you said, you've got to go and you've got to beat the best teams to win the national tournament. I mean, France's route to the World Cup wasn't the easiest. They beat some of the best teams. So it's just what you have to do. I mean, you could argue, look at the last Euros with Portugal. They only just got through. I don't think they won a game in the group stages as well. I think they only won 1 game in 90 minutes. So that just kind of goes to show that if you get the job done, it kind of masks maybe arguably how poor you've been. Like if we get to the final and win this thing, no one's going to remember the group stages and how poor we were for, out of the 270 minutes we played, we probably played about 40 minutes of really good football. I'd say the Croatia game, we started well and started the first half and second half well. It kind of died down after that in the opening 15 against the Czechs as well. It's just now about harnessing that and playing like that for 90 minutes because, no disrespect to the team we played in the group, but they're not your Frances, your Germanys and your Portugals. And I think that group has shown as well that all three of those teams have their weaknesses. Germany just completely tore Portugal apart with the back five with Kimmich and Gosens down the left and right. That's something to watch out for. And I think depending on who we play against, that will massively impact kind of who Southgate selects. I imagine I wouldn't at all be surprised to see that if we do play Germany, just to stop that threat, if we went back to the Southgates in the first game of the group stages with the fullbacks he chose there, I mean, I think you have to think about it as a tactical battle as to what you can do to stop the best players. Trouble is with that is you're always going to find another player who's going to step in and take that moment. That's just top quality side. You've got 5 or 6 across the pitch who can just absolutely deliver on the biggest stage, and that's what we need now. That's what we need. Your Harry Kanes, Mason Mount when he's back. Grealish was excellent last night. Saka as well. Everyone wants to play and start, and a lot of them have given a really good case for starting. If you think about all the players that have had minutes this tournament, there's a lot of them. I'd say that there's certain ones who've impressed more than others. And I'm really intrigued to kind of see what you guys think and what Southgate kind of thinks as to who should be in the starting 11 for the knockout round.
I mean, firstly, I think Southgate, as long as we don't get hammered in the next game, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think the fact that he's topped the group has probably cemented him the job for the World Cup and whatever. So I don't think there's any, unless we get beat like 10-0 or whatever. I think he's there. I think he's staying. Which for me is a bit annoying because I'm not his biggest fan, and you all know that. But it is what it is. But firstly, before I say that team, I agree. I think all of those teams, France have been a weird one for me. You can quite clearly see the ability and the quality on show, and they play very nice football. But at times, Hungary really executed their tactics to perfection. The fact that they attacked that left side, and Kimpembe was just completely torn apart. Down in the defensive areas, and Hungary really just nailed that tactics. They saw the left hand side as a weak part of the defense, and they just absolutely attacked it. And that's where they created the goal. Varane was out of position, just poor defending, and they opened them up. So even if we get France, I can't see us getting France. But even if we do get France, I think we have to look at the likes of what Hungary did, and look at it and think, they're a great side, but they have their flaws. Like every team, and Portugal especially, defensively 2 own goals, suicide in that match from them. And then, Germany have done an own goal with Hummels in the first game as well. So defensively, these aren't the strongest of sides. It's, it's that sort of thing, we can outscore a team. And that's exactly what sort of I feel like Germany and Portugal did in the first game, to be honest. But in terms of the England, I think I can't see Southgate picking the same team as he did last night. No matter how much better I thought we were, I can't see him sticking to it. I think Mount comes back, Foden comes back. I think that those players are going to walk into the team despite the efforts from Saka. I can't see him keeping his starting place. I think he should. I think this is just pure England, though. When they pick the names over the talent shown, and fair play to Southgate. If he shocks me and he picks this sort of team again, obviously it will depend on the opposition we have. Then fair play to him. It will shock me, but I can't see him doing it. I think the likes of Mount, the likes of Foden, they'll all walk back into the team, and that's not bad. Foden, I thought, has been our best player in the tournament up until obviously he didn't play yesterday. I thought in the first 2 games he was one of our best players along with Pickford, but I think Grealish has to start, and I think Saka does. I think Saka really showed that not only did he track back, but his work rate, and it's just, he just drives. I'm not even his biggest fan. I didn't get why he was picked. But yesterday he proved, that it's not always talent, it's just the ambition and the fact that he was a young guy trying to state his claim to start in the next game, and that showed. And I think that hunger is what we all need. And I feel like we need to start him, and I'm not sure. I think Foden needs to start. I think Grealish needs to start. I think Mount should start. So it is a hard one because, to be honest, if I could have it my way, and I know it's a debate, do you or do you not drop Kane? I don't. He's a big player. You know, he's that quality that you can have
Okay.
at any moment. But right now, he is the weakness in that attack. So, you know, all these players performing. But I think it's a hard one because you can't drop a player of his caliber because you never know what he's going to pull out the locker in the last moment. He could get that all-important goal, and no one will remember the Harry Kane from the first, you know, 3 matches. It will all be about how he got us through to the next round. So I think it is a tricky one. But for me, Saka has to start, and I'd start Grealish over Mount.
It's a weird one because it seems like the front four is kind of. I think most people know who should be in there, and Kane will definitely be in there. Grealish really should be in there. I've not been as impressed with Foden. I think if some games he's a passenger, but I think that's probably more to do with just England's general kind of bad attacking play, not necessarily to do with him. I don't think that combination of Mount, Sterling, Foden works. So I wouldn't, and Kane, and I wouldn't want to see them four play again. I think Saka's probably not going to start because
I don't think he will. I think he should though. Do you not think that he should?
I thought he was excellent, but I think what he's done is elevate himself to be that guy that gets called upon on the bench. I think that's what he's elevated himself to, because it was one of these games where he was already through. Give Saka a chance, and he really did impress. But that game was, I feel like he's probably elevated himself up the pecking order, but not to a starting position, if you get what I mean. I feel like Sterling has to start, regardless what people think of him. 14 goals in his last 19 international games, the only goal scorer for England so far. Regardless of his flaws, he's been the one there that has won us the games, you know. And for that, you do deserve to be rewarded. He's not coming off a great season for Man City, but still, I mean, he's had a not great season. He's still got like 20-odd goal contributions. So, I mean, if that's a bad season, you know, I want to see him have a great season next year, because that's brilliant stats. So I think Sterling deserves his place in the team, as frustrating as he can be. And that's one worry with England is if those chances against Portugal, France, Germany fall to Sterling, does he score them? Not sure.
At the moment, he's the only one scoring at all.
But yeah, again, at this rate, does Kane score them? Does Mount score them? Who scores them? You know, and obviously, I think a lot depends on Mount's isolation stuff. You know, if Mount's not fit, it's not going to be able to be there for round of 16, then you can't look further than Grealish. Like, I mean, so I think Grealish is pretty much.
Who are you starting, Mount, or are you starting Grealish? I'd start
Grealish. I think you could work with both. I think you could play Mount, Grealish, Sterling, Kane, if you want.
What? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Sorry about that.
It'll be 4-2-3-1 again.
That was better, personally. As soon as he changed it to that 4-3-3, we just looked a bit, you know, we didn't look as like the side. And I don't know why Southgate continuously did it for the first 2 games in a 4-3-3. That 4-2-3-1 is what a lot of Premier League teams use, and it worked really well with us yesterday. At moments, it worked really well anyway. It wasn't a perfect display, but it was better. You know, it was improvement. And I think that's down to the players in the formation that he put out.
You talk a lot about kind of front four and stuff, but in terms of the back six, I guess you could call them, I think there's a lot maybe of debate as well, because it seems like that midfield pivot of Rice and Phillips might be the one he goes for, but you'd possibly guess that the fact that Henderson played 45 minutes yesterday is Southgate trying to get him as fit as possible because he wants him to start in the knockouts. You know, I'm not too sure about that, just because playing 90 minutes and playing 45 minutes is very different, I think, especially for the role that Henderson plays in. You know, he is a workhorse. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see it possibly happen again, depending on the score. I expect Henderson will play in the knockout rounds. It's just about whether or not he starts. If he does start, I'd expect him to be withdrawn sort of about after 60 minutes. And then vice versa, if he doesn't start, I expect him to come on about 60 minutes as well. But I mean, Ollie will love me for this one, but I thought that Harry Maguire showed absolutely no signs of someone who's missed the last month or two of football. He played 90 minutes. No sign of... He just... I'll be honest now. He just exudes calmness for me. Like, when you see him pick up the ball, and I think what we really missed in those first 2 games was a centre-back who just goes across the halfway line. Because there's a moment where he's pushing up towards the edge of the box because just no one is closing him down. And, you know, if you've got players like Grealish on the pitch and Saka who can find those spaces, exactly what they did against Czech Republic, and you've got a centre-back willing to bring the ball out, you know, to the halfway line, you're going to tear teams apart. Think about the amount of times that Grealish picked up the ball in space, Saka picked up the ball in space, Kane had much more space than he's had in the first 2 games. You know, I think all for Maguire's defensive qualities, actually going forward, he brings so much.
It shocks me though, because he's such a big bloke. You don't expect him to be so elegant when he's moving. Like his agility is actually, it's not the best out there, but for someone of his size, like when you see him go forward, I'm always there, a bit like, oh my god, and then you just see him breeze past people, and you're like, go on, mate, go on, hit it, shoot. He was a breath of fresh air, and I feel sorry for Ming because he did all right, to be fair, in his first 2 games, but. Maguire, to be fair, I think he made us win that because that shot where he just jumped in front of it, I can't remember exactly who it was. I think, when he just like quickly put his knee down, it was that massive kerfuffle in the box. Yeah, and Maguire's leg just got in the way in his knee, and that was clearly going past Pickford. So, I mean, to be fair, coming back in, I think he stopped, what would have been an equaliser. So, but yeah, no, I agree. It didn't look like he missed football at all. But we're talking about defence. I'm not just saying this as a Man United fan, but I thought Shaw was great yesterday. I think he was the best in the left-back position, and I thought he was linking up really, really well with Grealish. I thought, it gave Grealish knew that he had someone that would attack down the side, and I think that's something that was lacking in the last couple of games or so. And Shaw just gets at teams. He pushes up, and I'm not sure if it's because he was next to Maguire for the first majority of the game until he did switch over. But I just thought that they linked up well, and him with Grealish. I just thought Shaw was amazing, to be honest. It wasn't amazing, but it was an improvement on prior performances from our left backs from Trippier and stuff. So I think he needs to.
I think obviously Chilwell having the isolation. I probably thought Chilwell would have started that game, to be honest. And I wanted him to start the game until obviously the whole Gilmore thing happened. Shaw was good. I think Southgate obviously made a point to make the fullbacks go forward this time instead of telling them to sit and not go forward at all, which was good. Walker on the other side was all right. He's not as attacking as Shaw was. He was all right, but then it's hard to tell whether Reece James won because he wasn't good against Scotland, but then again he was limited. So it's that right back position. I don't care who starts because they've all kind of put in the same level of performance. Obviously Trippier did quite well at left back. Would probably maybe like to see him at right back, but I think in terms of defensive solidity through this tournament so far, Walker's been the one that has kind of helped us out the most. I don't think James was brilliant against Robertson and for Scotland, so Walker would start on that right side. And speaking on the centre backs and the goalkeeper, I mean, we have been critical of England in this tournament, but no goals conceded with a centre back that I don't think anyone rated. Going into this tournament in Tyrone Mings. So, credit to their defence and Southgate for no goals conceded. We have at times looked under pressure, but I don't think, apart from that one chance you mentioned, I don't think we really ever looked too in threat. We didn't look like conceding too much, and we didn't look like conceding really against Croatia. So, if we can carry that solidity over to a tougher test, obviously we will play teams, and we're going to if we play in those teams, we'll give up chances. We're playing up against Mbappe or Ronaldo, so they'll have shots on our goal. But if we can keep that solidity, and with the centre midfielder, do you stick with Rice and Phillips against
That's what I was about
a
to
better
say.
team?
I was just going to
say, I don't know. I don't know.
Not conceded any, and I won't lie, it's probably because we have 6 defenders on the pitch, or 7 if you include the goalkeeper, because I think you have to look at the correlation between not conceding but also not scoring many. We are playing very defensive, and to be fair, I wouldn't. I think it's working, and if you were probably going to, maybe do start more defensive against the likes of France, but against the likes of Portugal, which we've seen their defensive weaknesses, I think just get at them. And if Henderson's not fit, why not Jude? Why not put him in there? Do a playmaker, some more passer of the ball next to probably Phillips. I think Phillips has done better than Rice in this tournament, so I'd maybe drop Rice, but I'm not a big fan of starting those 2 defensive players because it just makes us on the back foot straight away. We're England, get at them. We've never been the best defensively. We've all been quite good attack. We have Kane, probably one of the, if not the best striker in the world, with the likes of Sterling, Foden, Grealish, all these players. Use that and actually attack rather than having those 7 defensive players right at the back. And I think that's why we're not scoring, because we are very defensive.
It's interesting for me, if Henderson's fit and he's deemed fit enough to play, a full 90, he has to start. He's England's best midfielder. I don't think there's any kind of debate on that. One thing I loved from Henderson, and we didn't play very well in the second half. As soon as he came on, it was looking to get the ball forward. It was looking to play that ambitious pass, which I think that Rice was doing more, to be fair to him. But I'm not sure. I don't know which one out of Rice or Phillips I'd keep or let go of, because I was really impressed with Phillips against Croatia, but he was obviously playing in more advanced role. When it comes to holding, whoever's that player, if Henderson's fit, Henderson won't be holding. It will be someone else. So it's which one of them is trusted to do that job. And I think Rice is a better defender than Phillips, but Phillips is a better he links up play better than Rice. So it's a real tough one for Southgate, that one. If Henderson is deemed fit enough to start.
I can't stand Rice and Phillips in a pivot. It makes me feel ill because they just step on each other's toes, and it's so frustrating to watch. At least when he was playing as part of that three in midfield, Phillips was covered every blade of grass. They did not get in each other's way at all. But as soon as you go to that kind of 4-2-3-1, they are kind of in each other's way. So I'm expecting them both to start in the knockouts, depending on. I'd say regardless of who we play, I would like to see
every game.
Sorry,
I think they'll start every game, and this will be our last game. But I'm saying if we get through, I think he will start every game.
Yeah, I'd expect him to as well. But the interesting thing about this is if we do get Portugal, if they do finish second, they've been doing a very similar thing in that they've been playing Danilo Pereira and William Carvalho as, two kind of defensive midfielders and allowing those four attackers in Jota, Ronaldo, Bruno and Bernardo Silva to kind of do what England are doing. So, we could very much kind of just cancel each other out.
Who do you think we're actually going to get then? Because you said obviously how it could be a very similar matchup if we get Portugal, but I don't think we'll get Portugal because I think France will beat them. I think if Germany beat Portugal and, undid their defensive, sort of their poor part of the back, I think France will absolutely rip them to shreds. So who do we actually think will get? I think it will be Germany. I think France will top the group. I'd be shocked if they didn't. I can't see Portugal, picking up a point, and I can't see Germany not beating Hungary as good as Hungary have been. So I think we get we have to go against second place, don't we? So in that case, I think we'll get Germany.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much nailed on to be Germany. They will beat Hungary, especially at home. And if they don't,
I really want you've been wrong. You just keep saying they're going to beat. I
don't think this going on. Germany need to give Hungary a good hiding, so I hope they do. Weirdly, I'm not rooting for the Germans, but give them a chance. I want to play the best teams and let's beat Germany. That's a statement win if I've ever seen one. Germany quite often are that team that kind of beat us. They what's the things like football's a simple game, something. And Germany always win. And so let's change that and let's beat Germany. And look, win that, and I think public sentiment gets right back on side. I think we're at Wembley for the rest of the tournament. If we win, maybe not the quarter-final, but definitely obviously semi-final and final. So let's get the country believing again with a big win against Germany.
I think the best...
We need to...
What was that, Kevin? Sorry.
We need to avenge 2010. Germany 4, England 1.
Yeah.
Round of 16. Ghost goal. Not again.
Matt Upson centre-back. Oh.
6-0 England. Heard it here first.
Passing. But moving away from England, I think that we can both. We don't know who Belgium's going to face, but I think that the chances are that the quarterfinal could be Belgium versus Italy. I think that could be an absolutely great match. And that's if they both go through. But Italy have got Austria. I think they should easily walk through that. And then Belgium third in Group A, D, E, or F. So if they're going against a third place team, you'd think that they would. You'd think that Belgium would get the win there. So I'm just looking through the round of 16s, and Belgium versus Italy looks like a very interesting viewing on the 2nd of July.
I think that's a really interesting game because Belgium looked. We'll talk about Denmark and obviously how good they were against Russia, but Belgium looked like gettable. Belgium have to win this tournament if they're going to get any international success. I really believe that because their defence is old. It's Vertonghen and Alderweireld, their two best friends. I don't really think Denayer and Boyata are that level to win trophies like that, international trophies. So they need to be successful. But Italy, I think out of every team I've seen in the Euros, Italy are the most well-drilled team. And I think that will get you very far in international football. They work with what they got and they do it very well. Got great midfield and a strong defence. So, that is the most interesting. And obviously Belgium's strength is their attack. Lukaku's made Italian defenders' life hard for a whole season anyway. So, maybe he'll continue that coming into this game. So, that probably is the most interesting game, obviously, besides England. I think that probably has potential to be one of the more interesting games of the tournament.
You said you mentioned that. Sorry, I thought Kieran was going to say something then. But you mentioned Denmark. Denmark versus Wales. Not a typical, definitely watching round of 16 of the Euros. But fair play to them to both get in there. And I mean,
That's a great game.
One of them definitely is going to be in the quarterfinals. Obviously, I mean, I hope it's Wales, just being, because obviously I'm English. But I do. I want it to be Wales.
I hope it's Denmark. We care about Wales.
There's a right. You can no. You can have.
Because I'm English.
Like everyone wanted Scotland. Everyone wanted Scotland to go out. But at the end of the day, it's one of our home nations. Why would you not want them to go through?
No.
I'm not doing this one strong bit of nonsense here. No way. Truthfully, I want Denmark to win 3-4, 5-0.
No. I want them to go through. I have no. I get the rivalry.
Did you see the Wales celebrations after we lost to Iceland? Did you see? They don't care.
Yeah, but I'm not that salty or sad. I back them because they're literally just a couple miles away. Why would I not back? I get the rivalry.
I don't support Plymouth. They're a couple miles away.
Yeah, but I get. That's a bit different. I get the rivalry. Okay, I get the rivalry between Scotland, Wales, and England. I get that, but I'd like to see them to go through because I won't lie to you. I think we would more likely to beat Wales than we would beat Denmark. I know we don't go up against that side anyway, but I just would. I'm sorry, that's not the typical English view, but I'm sure there's quite a few English fans out there because I know a lot of people that I've spoke to, have been back in Wales or whatever throughout it. So, yeah.
Who were you speaking to? Welsh?
The only person that I actually know that is Welsh isn't even following football. No, I don't see why you can't. They're literally just across the water, or they're actually attached to us. Why can't we support them?
No reason. The Wales have been very. To get back to Wales have been very impressive. I'm always impressed by Wales when they play. I don't want Wales to win, but I can admit to being impressed by them. They've got great players. One thing about international football, especially when you're a country like Wales, you've got to get the best out of what you have. And Wales have Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, in my opinion. Aaron Ramsey not quite just because of his consistency, but both world-class ability. And they get the best out of them. With a very limited squad, they can produce great results. Obviously, everything that happened with Ryan Giggs and stuff, meaning that Rob Page was drafted in to be manager, pretty short notice. And they've been very impressive. And so have Denmark. I mean, talking about bouncing back from incidents, was that just horrible thing that happened to Christian Eriksen? It looks like they've used it, and obviously they're at home, so they've got that great Danish support. It's been one of the more fun games to watch has been Denmark because they have that full atmosphere, everyone cheering, and that's lovely to see, especially having not had it for so long. But I think it's going to be a really interesting game, and I'm looking forward to seeing who wins. I'm looking forward to watching it. Obviously, hope it's Denmark, but no hard feelings if it's Wales as long as England win their game.
Yeah, I believe it's in Amsterdam, the game between Wales and Denmark, so no real necessary advantage, at least according to what I've found.
I think Denmark fans are getting more tickets because the lockdown rules in Wales are a bit harsher, so Denmark may have that home advantage kind of thing.
We saw them against Russia, they were incredible. That the fans and the players, arguably, albeit the gifted second goal. But I mean, I can't not back Denmark. Wales have got, technically, if you count this season, 3 Spurs players. Denmark just one, but the story that they're on at the moment, to go into that last group game with 0 points, knowing that you have to win and by some margin, and to do it in the fashion that they did do it in, I can't not want to support them. Christian Eriksen was someone who I watched for 5 years at Spurs, and I loved all of those 5 years. Højbjerg's there now. He was incredible against Russia. Got 2 assists. If we just forget about his penalty in the first game, he's had a good tournament. So I'd really like to see Denmark go through. And I think maybe further in the rounds they could probably do more damage than Wales.
They're a good team at the moment. They're a feel-good team in the competition. So, I think a lot of people will be backing them, and, people that are a bit more salty won't be backing Wales, just across the water, why not? But, I think they are just a feel-good team. I think they are the feel-good team in the competition, and I won't lie to you. When I first saw them play, I know obviously they had the absolute shocking things that happened with Eriksen. I thought I didn't think it was going to go very well from the competition. I thought, Eriksen having the cardiac arrest and their performance, it wasn't necessarily all that there. But they've shot me. And what are they now? First, second in the group or whatever? So
I don't think you can take that Finland game into account, though, because,
it's kind of a non-starter, that one.
One of my friends had just, been brought back to life, quite literally, we saw against Belgium, who are a brilliant team, for 45 minutes, they absolutely destroyed them. But then you got someone like Kevin De Bruyne on the bench who you can just bring on. You know, it's kind of hard to compete with. So, I mean, if you go off the last two, probably the first half against Belgium mostly, and the whole game against Russia, you know, they've got some players in that squad. Damsgaard as well was really good. Poulsen's been able to find the goals. You know, that's going to be very important as well. Højbjerg is just an absolute warrior. I love him. Schmeichel in goal as well. You can't look past that. And someone I want to bring up as well is Mailer on the left-hand side has been incredible. You know, he's bombing forward like he's got all the stamina in the world, and I think he's really going to cause Wales some problems. I think a lot of the Denmark players will, but you know, if you look at that game, it's those kind of games which kind of get me excited about the Euros. It's teams that maybe you wouldn't assume being in the best 10 teams in the world, but one of them's going to go into the last 8. You know, it's going to be a hotly contested game. You know, the following one that night, Italy v Austria, you can kind of guess, you know, who the favourites are, and that was Wales Denmark. It could go either way. You know, I think I'd look much forward more to that game than I would, you know, a lot of the other quarterfinals. Round of 16 games, unless of course, you know, you've got kind of two heavyweights coming together. It's those games between teams who really are going to be going for it, you know, and want to go as far as they can. They want to be the Wales of 2016, maybe the Sweden of 2018. You know, it's those kind of moments and memories, and that's what kind of both those sets of players will be trying to do. And I imagine that's exactly what their managers will be saying. You know, look, we've got not an easy route to the next round, but we've got to go for it. And if momentum's one thing to tell, you've got to back Denmark as well.
I mean, you say easy route. There's no respect. These teams have all, you know, they fought for their place in the round of 16, and they'll fight for it in the quarterfinals. But compared to the top part of the draw, whichever team goes through, Wales or Denmark, they have to be confident that they could get to the semi-finals. Because, I mean, Netherlands haven't necessarily been all at it. They look, you know, fragile at times, and I think, you know, they're still a team sort of, you know, trying to find their way. And if anything to go by from the performances they've had, you know, Netherlands could easily be beaten. I mean, obviously the third in Group D, ERF, we're not sure who that is yet. But when you look at Netherlands or whatever the third place team is, Wales or Denmark could be in the semi-finals. It's going to be a great for whatever team it is, and we don't even know what the fourth team could be. But any of those teams need to look at this and think this is a brilliant chance to get to a semi-finals here, because, like you said, Denmark have done well. I think Wales could beat Dutch if they're up to it, and you know the Netherlands aren't really all there. So I think it'll be really interesting to see who could get through.
Yeah,
Netherlands have been an interesting one. I think obviously they're guaranteed through 1 or 3 games, but they look like they could beat anyone. I'm surprised by how entertaining they've been, to be honest. And Dumfries has been, you know, trying to distance himself from that move to Everton with his performances. He's been really good, and probably now deserves something a bit better than that. But they look like they look gettable. Like Netherlands look like they could really turn up and batter someone. But they also look like they could. Look, you saw it in Ukraine. They fell asleep for 10 minutes. They conceded 2 goals. You know, they're a really weird team, and I really want to see them play a great team. I don't know who they're getting around the 16, but I want to see them play someone that is a tough test, because, you know, I've been surprised by how good they are. You know, maybe it's because of Frank de Boer and my free sort of thoughts of him, because he spelled at Crystal Palace, and I think he was at an American side. I can't remember, Atlanta, I think, and that didn't go very well. But he's obviously got them playing a bit, so, you know, it'd be interesting to see how they fare in the tournament.
If it stands as it is, it'll be either the Czech Republic, Spain, or Portugal, depending on, you know, if those teams go through. I mean, Spain.
I love seeing him play for Portugal.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd like that game against Portugal, because Portugal win. You know, we said it earlier, down the flank.
I think Netherlands are a bit of a weird one at the moment. I think, you know, when they've got the momentum behind them, once they've scored a goal and stuff like that, they seem to have that. They seem to be a completely different team. But when they kind of take their foot off the gas a bit, they do look, you know, like you say, gettable. You know, I think a team could really punish them. And as you say, they threw away that lead, and they only just scraped past with the win. But yeah, Dumfries has been really well. Depay annoyed me so much. Such a bad first game. So I thought, you know, I'm taking him out of fantasy team, and then he goes and scores in the other game. So, yeah, no, mate, not your biggest fan right now. Never was at Man United. And, you know, just showed why I don't like you now.
Was the first game where he had that awful miss, or was that the second game?
I think, not sure.
I mean, I'm sure he's missed a couple.
It was one of them, for sure, but it wasn't good.
But yeah, I mean, He scored what, 3 goals or something, I think, in the thing so far. But I still wouldn't think he's yet to hit his strides.
No, I don't think that team's very clinical, that Netherlands team. I don't think much of Weghorst either in terms of his clinic. I think he's a good target man, links play up well. But I don't think he's much of a finisher. I don't think he's like a 20-goal guy. I don't know what his stats are for. I could be wrong in terms of Eredivisie, but
I think in that Netherlands team, if you're looking for anyone to get out on the, to get on a shot, I think they're probably going to look for Ginny to get on the end of it, because I mean he's absolutely lethal for that international team. So, but yeah, I mean, I was saying that it's an easy route through Spain, Portugal, or Czech Republic. None of them are really. I think they've all got to be sort of favourites if whoever gets in that sort of end of it. I mean, but like I said, that's going to be really interesting, and I think Denmark and Wales do have a really good chance to get to the semi-finals. One of them, anyway.
There's plenty to go. I mean, we'll be back next week to talk probably more things Euro 2020. Make sure to check us out on 12 Football UK on all social medias. And we'll see you next week.